What's in the box? That's what everybody wants to know. What's in the box? Ghislaine Maxwell spotted with a box. And now everyone wants to know, are they smuggling drugs in? What do they do? What's in there? Why does she have it? It's really, I'm gonna be honest with you. This whole thing, this whole story, everything's taken a crazy turn. And it's really wild to see how the Ghislaine Maxwell story just continues to grow. It's almost like it's bigger than life at this point. And this woman who, I guess she thought she was just going to go to jail for a while and be gone. No, now she's back. She is in the spotlight. She is the only person left who knows the truth about Jeffrey Epstein, which again makes her, you would think, a huge target. I think if I were her, I'd be demanding some kind of round-the-clock surveillance or some kind of personal security or somebody that I could trust, because again, you know what happened to the last guy who knew about Jeffrey Epstein, and that was, well, Jeffrey Epstein. Anyway, we're going to get to all that here in just a minute. I have a little bubble in my throat. I don't know why. Maybe because it's Friday. Maybe I'm really excited that it's Friday. But there's so much to talk about today. The Democrats have a brand new narrative when it comes to Ghislaine Maxwell. It's really interesting. They used to want to hear from, okay, first of all, well, you know what, there's been this whole organic thing with the Democrats. They can't really make up their mind. At first, they didn't want the Epstein list revealed because they're all on it, probably. Then Donald Trump said he didn't want the Epstein list revealed. So then they were like, well, now we have to have the Epstein list revealed because Donald Trump doesn't want it. And now Donald Trump's like, all right, we're going to interview Ghislaine Maxwell. And the Democrats are like, oh, no, you're not, because we know what you're just plotting. You're just planning. You're just coming up with some way to skew her testimony. He's even being accused of offering her a pardon. There's so much, I got to tell you, there's so much going on with this story. It changes by the day, and it is really, really wild. First, though, before you do anything else, before we get into the heart of this matter, I want you to go ahead and hit that subscribe button if you're not subscribed already, especially if you're listening or watching on the podcast. If you're on, speaking of watching on the podcast, we have some new information coming up hopefully next week. That's very exciting. And if we can get that going, if we can get that up and ready, we have this podcast continues to amaze and bedazzle not just me, but you. And we continue to create new and exciting ways for you to engage with and consume and enjoy this podcast. At least I hope you do enjoy it. If you do, make sure you subscribe. Make sure you're setting the notifications. Make sure you're telling whatever platform you're on, man, I love this. I love that this dude in the blue shirt and the red hat who comes on my screen every day. Sometimes it's a light blue shirt and a blue hat. Sometimes it's a white hat. There's a bunch of different hats and shirts. It doesn't matter. Combination of clothing is not what matters. It's not what makes this show great. It's me and you and the entertainment and the information and the camaraderie and everything else. So make sure that you're telling whatever platform you're watching, you want this brought to you every single day so that you don't miss a single episode. All right. So yesterday, Todd Blanche went to go meet with Ghislaine Maxwell at the high security prison where she's being held. And the Department of Justice attorney spoke with her. He said that they had a very forthright conversation. He said that she believed he believed what she was saying was true. In fact, I have the quote here. I can play you the exact, or not play you, but I can show you the exact quote because I made a snarky comment about it on the internet because, that's what I do. That's one of my favorite things about the internet is you can make snarky comments. So Todd Blanche wrote, "Today I met with Ghislaine Maxwell and I will continue my interview of her tomorrow," meaning today. "The Department of Justice will share additional information about what we learned at the appropriate time." So here you have Todd Blanche, who's the deputy attorney general under Pam Bondi, saying he met with Ghislaine Maxwell. He's going to continue her interview today. And so there's more, there's more. Stay tuned, basically, is what he's saying. Stay tuned. More to come. Well, CNN and a bunch of other sleuths noticed that immediately following her interview with Todd Blanche yesterday, Ghislaine Maxwell was seen carrying a box back to her cell.
This is video of Maxwell returning to prison just moments after meeting with Trump's deputy attorney general. And you can see her there. Actually, if you look closely, she's carrying a box of material. Now, Maxwell's attorney says she was forthcoming with every question that Trump's team threw at her today.
Yeah, so there you go. She's carrying a mystery box. Nobody knows what's in it, and she was very forthcoming. So maybe that was like her gift. Maybe that was a prize. I don't know what it's like in maximum security prisons, but sometimes like if your kids go to summer camp or if they're in college, you can send them a care package. maybe get like their favorite snacks or, photos from home or something. I don't know what it is. But she has this box and she goes back into the penitentiary there, and maybe it's files that she's going through. Maybe she's supposed to, corroborate certain things and say, yes, this is accurate. No, it's not. Who knows? Who knows? But all we know is that she had the box, she met with Todd Blanche, and she was very, very forthcoming. This morning, the rumors began to swirl that President Donald Trump was planning to pardon Ghislaine Maxwell, and a reporter even asked him about that at the White House. Listen to what he said.
Would you consider a pardon or a commutation for Ghislaine Maxwell if cooperated?
It's something I haven't thought about. It's really something.
Recommended it.
It's something I'm allowed to do it, but it's something I have not thought about.
But you wouldn't rule it out, sir?
Why has the dollar?
I don't know why that clip's so quiet. Hopefully, I don't know. I know telling me I'll find a louder one, but Donald Trump was at the White House and he said, it's something that I'm allowed to do. Here it is one more time.
Would you consider a pardon or a commutation for Ghislaine Maxwell if cooperated?
It's something I haven't thought about. It's really something.
Recommended it.
It's something I'm allowed to do it, but it's something I have not thought about.
Okay, so what President Donald Trump says is it's something I've not thought about. It's something I've not thought about. He says it 3 times. Would you consider a pardon or a commutation for Ghislaine Maxwell? Donald Trump says it's something I have not thought about. It's something I have not thought about. I'm allowed to do it, but it's something I've not thought about. And so the media took this story and they ran with it and they said, Donald Trump is going to pardon Ghislaine Maxwell. Donald Trump's now going to pardon a serial sex trafficker. He's considering a pardon for Ghislaine in exchange for her testimony or her whatever. He's making some deal with her. If he pardons her, she's going to get him off the hook. I don't know what it is they're coming up with, but it's all the craziest aspects and the craziest people in the Democrat Party. For example, Adam Kinzinger. And I know what you're thinking. Adam Kinzinger is a Republican. No, he's not.
So Trump is considering pardoning Ghislaine Maxwell, the child sex trafficker who actually helped Jeffrey Epstein. Why? Because she knows things. She knows about Trump. And if Trump pardons her, she won't talk. He already sent one of his attorneys to go talk to her. How are you guys going to spin this one? I mean, Donald Trump is straight up worried that she's going to talk, so he might pardon her. Do we care about child sex trafficking or don't we? Answer that, guys.
Yeah. So there you go. That's a very quiet clip. So Adam Kinzinger is perpetuating the rumor that Donald Trump is going to pardon Ghislaine Maxwell when he said nothing of the sort. Here's Chuck Schumer.
Sending Donald Trump's personal lawyer, Todd Blanche, to interview Ghislaine Maxwell while she's in prison, a woman who's been convicted of abusing people, to offer some kind of corrupt deal so that she can exonerate Donald Trump, just stinks of high corruption.
Okay, I figured out, by the way, why the audio was so quiet. So if I play it again, it should be fine.
Sending Donald Trump's personal lawyer, Todd Blanche, to interview Ghislaine Maxwell while she's in prison, a woman who's been convicted of abusing people, to offer some kind of corrupt deal so that she can exonerate Donald Trump, just stinks of high corruption.
Yeah. So that's basically what's happening is now Chuck Schumer's out there saying, look, Todd Blanche, who was Donald Trump's attorney and is no longer, now he works for the people of the United States of America. Now he works for the Attorney General. Todd Blanche is out there not interviewing Ghislaine Maxwell, and by the way, it's Ghislaine. It's Ghislaine. They both mispronounced her name. Chuck Schumer did it.
Sending Donald Trump's personal lawyer, Todd Blanche, to interview Ghislaine Maxwell.
Yeah, it's not Ghislaine, it's Ghislaine.
So Trump is considering pardoning Ghislaine Maxwell.
It's not Ghislaine. It's here. I have it. I double checked because I've known it as Ghislaine for here. Listen carefully.
We are looking at how to pronounce the name of British socialite who is known in particular for her association with financier and convicted criminal Jeffrey Epstein. Now the question is on her first name more than anything, which is of French origin. And in French it can be pronounced either Ghislaine or Ghislaine. But in British, as is the case for her, her first name is generally pronounced Ghislaine Maxwell.
Yeah, Ghislaine. So it's
Ghislaine.
Ghislaine
Maxwell.
Ghislaine.
Ghislaine Maxwell.
Ghislaine Maxwell. There you go. So the proper pronunciation is Ghislaine Maxwell, but these clowns, they don't know how to pronounce it properly. But they're all saying that what the new plot is, or the new narrative on the left is, Donald Trump sent Todd Blanche, who used to be his attorney but is now the deputy attorney general, sent him to talk to Ghislaine Maxwell, not to get information out of her, but to cut some kind of deal, to say, if you help us out, if you help President Donald Trump, if you pinpoint everybody but him, if you tell people Donald Trump had nothing to do with Jeffrey Epstein and they hated each other and blah, 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 if you do all of that, then we will pardon you, or we'll get Donald Trump to commute your sentence, or something will happen. And that is just a gross exaggeration of what Donald Trump said. And clearly it's insulting to Todd Blanche, who is a very prominent, well-liked, and honest and trustworthy attorney. Richard Blumenthal basically said the same thing on the news.
We have beseeched and written and urged the Department of Justice to come clean with the American people. And instead what's happening is one of the most corrupt misuses of power in the history of the Department of Justice. The Deputy Attorney General, Todd Blanche, is about to go to a federal prison where Ghislaine Maxwell, a convicted felon involved in the Epstein trafficking of children, is going to be interviewed by him. Now, keep in mind that no ordinary person could have their personal henchman in the Department of Justice go to secure a cover-up as a result of that kind of secret meeting and secret deal, giving her potentially a pardon for providing information favorable to Trump.
Okay, now the irony of him referring to Todd Blanche as Donald Trump's secret or personal henchman is, I mean, that can't be lost on anybody, because if anybody used the Department of Justice, if anybody used Merrick Garland or any of these attorneys as their personal henchmen, it was Joe Biden. Joe Biden sent the FBI, his personal henchman, to Mar-a-Lago to search President Donald Trump's home. Joe Biden sent the FBI, his personal henchman, to PTA meetings to spy on parents and to threaten them and to intimidate them into dropping their mask requests and their other requests when it came to DEI topics in the classrooms. Joe Biden sent his henchmen around the country to investigate and to arrest January 6ers and put them in prison with massive sentences that were way above and beyond anything normal for the crimes they may or may not have committed. So when it comes to personal henchmen, it's the Democrats who use these agencies and these law enforcement officers and these lawyers as their personal henchmen. But just because Todd Blanche worked for President Donald Trump in the past, they now think that there's some kind of crooked dealing going on. And there's no secret deal. There's no secret deal being made. Nothing's being made. There's no pardon. There's no commutation. There's no deal. There's Todd Blanche going and trying to talk to Ghislaine Maxwell and getting some information out of her, which is something that everybody wants, including the Democrats, because they keep trying to add or tie on to, Donald Trump's, they keep trying to tie on to the rules package, in the House of Representatives, this Jeffrey Epstein case, which, by the way, I have to share this with you. This has absolutely nothing to do with Jeffrey Epstein, but it's really weird. This is Rashida Tlaib, and Rashida Tlaib is still mad about Palestine, so she's beating a metal kitchen container with a spoon outside the Capitol building.
Palestinian people, this is all for you.
Yeah, I don't know what that's all about, but that's the Democrats. The Congress is closed, as you know. They gavelled out. They're gone till September 2nd. You think about it what you will. But Rashida Tlaib is out in front of Congress with somebody wrote, it looks like one of those Chipotle containers. Someone wrote, she looks like the Chipotle lady when they're out of rice.
Palestinian people, this is all for you.
I know what that is. That's some kind of secret language or something. That's some kind of secret. That's Rashida Tlaib. That's some kind of secret, I guess, message or coded message that she's sending to the Palestinian people. If anybody speaks Palestinian, pot bumping or pot knocking, what do you call it? Pot banging. She's banging outside the Congress, whatever it is. She's a pot banger, whatever it is. You let me know what that is in the comments, because I'm really really curious to know what kind of a signal that is. Maybe it's some kind of attack signal. Maybe it's like, I remember the American Indians. They used to use the drums to signal all kinds of things. She could be signaling some kind of attack or letting loose with some kind of splinter cell here in the United States. Who knows with these people? But I digress. They're now accusing Donald Trump and Ghislaine Maxwell of being in cahoots to get her a pardon. Jonathan Turley was on Fox News, and he came up with another, which seems way more likely scenario as to what Todd Blanche and Ghislaine Maxwell are talking about.
There is a thing called a 5K 1.1 motion that the Justice Department can file for cooperation to reduce a sentence. That's usually when someone is a key witness in the prosecution of a third party. The defense can also go to a court and ask for a reduction based on new evidence, but we haven't seen that. She was convicted and given 20 years. And so the question is, if there's something there, why haven't they revealed it so far? The third possibility is a commutation, more likely than a pardon, from the president maybe at the end of his term, if she is a highly cooperative witness. So all of those are possibilities for Maxwell. The question is what she has. I was surprised in speaking with a member of the legal defense team a couple days ago when they said that reports that she had been previously interviewed by federal and state prosecutors and investigators was not true.
What?
That she had never been interviewed. Yes, and despite all of these past investigations in this scandal, I was really taken aback by that. So if that's true, she could be an untapped source of new information. The question is, what is that information? Is it just salacious, or is it something more that would reveal criminal conduct?
Now, that is an interesting, I'd never heard that either. I didn't know that she'd never been interviewed on the state level. I didn't know she'd never been interviewed on the federal level. I didn't know that she'd never been interviewed by anybody. And if there is information that she has that she's never actually explained to lawyers or to lawmakers or anything else, then that definitely could shed some light on the situation. That could definitely shed some light on what's going on with Jeffrey Epstein and the Epstein list, and what the DOJ has and what they don't have, and how they're going to crack down on these people who are guilty of these terrible, horrible, no good, very bad crimes. Now, Tim Burchett, who is on the committee and led the charge to get Ghislaine Maxwell subpoenaed and was successful, was interviewed outside the Capitol building. Listen to what he said.
Said filings that they don't trust her. She's a liar.
No, she is a liar, and she's a dirtbag. And,
so then why subpoena her if you can't trust her?
Well, because the one thing we got holding over her head is if we find out she lies, she goes back to her original sentence, and that's looking at lifetime. And if she's looking at maybe parlaying this into reducing her sentence, then we could have some leverage there.
All right, so that's the thing. Ghislaine Maxwell, the leverage is a reduction of the sentence. I don't think she thinks she's going to get out, or not, she's going to get a pardon. I don't think she thinks she's going to get a commutation. I think maybe she's going to make a deal with somebody and say, hey, you have to reduce my sentence. You have to move me somewhere else. You have to get me out of here early. And that's something Tim Burchett says is plausible. But look, if she doesn't help out, or if she lies to us and we find out she lied, then that's it. She's in jail for the rest of her life. So it's up to her. She can either be in jail for life or cooperate and be in jail for not life. And I guess that's the plan that they're going with. That's what they're trying to figure out. Either way, it's moving forward with not just Todd Blanche's 2-day interview, but also with the committee hearing with the House of Representatives, which I believe is scheduled for August 11th, or they're trying to schedule it for August 11th, which is kind of it's kind of interesting. I don't know. Maybe, you know what? Maybe Rashida Tlaib was just showing solidarity with Ghislaine Maxwell. You know how they used to tap their cups in prison to just annoy the guards?
Halcyon people, this is all for you.
That's weird to me that there's people that vote for her. It's always been weird that there's people that vote for her and Ilhan Omar and AOC. I never understand. I go, how do you go to the polls? Again, because I think about this a lot. Now that I myself am running for Congress, Mark Kaye for Congress. Now that I'm running for Congress in 2026 to represent Florida's 5th District, I think about these things a lot. And I think about, how is it that people like that get elected And I'll be honest with you. I look at it and I go, okay, if AOC can get elected, and if Ilhan Omar, who's from Somalia, can get elected, and if Rashida Tlaib can bang on this pot and somehow get elected, then clearly I have a fairly decent chance. Maybe I'm too sane. Maybe I'm too commonsensical. Maybe I'm not crazy enough. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe just the craziest people in the world are the ones that get elected. I guess as Democrats, the craziest ones in the world are the ones who are the Democrats who get elected. With Republicans, it seems like you need a modicum, if you will, a baseline of common sense. And if you have that, it makes it a lot easier. So anyway, that's what's going on. Now, another guy who showed up at Capitol Hill to talk about Joe Biden was Ron Klain. And Ron Klain, you may remember, was Joe Biden's chief of staff. Now, he was the first one of Joe Biden's inner circle, or one of the first people that was, and he came of his own volition. He wasn't subpoenaed, or he wasn't answering a subpoena. He actually came voluntarily to speak to the folks in the Oversight Committee. And Ron Klain yesterday answered some questions, and a lot of people believe that Ron Klain was, again, forthright and honest, and kind of pulled back the curtain a little bit on some of the things that were going on in the Joe Biden administration in those final days. This is Fox News. They're talking to a guy who wrote a book about Joe Biden, and he interviewed Ron Klain. Listen to this.
Now, Ron Klain's relationship with Joe Biden goes back decades. If anyone outside of the First Lady, Joe Biden, were to protect him, it probably would be Ron Klain, but all the indications are that he talked. What do you think's happening there, Chris?
Yeah, Ron Klain is a fascinating character in this whole story, and he's been in the doghouse with Joe Biden and his inner circle ever since he was devastatingly candid to me about Joe Biden's condition in that pre-debate prep at Camp David. I wrote about it in my book Uncharted, and it was stunning. Biden was out of it. He was disengaged. He wandered off, sank into a lounge chair by the pool. I'm sure that he was asked about all of this. I'm sure that he confirmed every bit of it. But the stunning thing to me, the most interesting thing about Klain, is that despite that devastating debate, which was lights out, game over, everybody knew it, Klain was still all in on Joe Biden's nomination and reelection, and somehow thought he could beat Trump. And it's still stunning to me, coming from somebody as politically savvy as Ron Klain.
Yeah, basically saying, this guy's smart. Why is he acting so stupid? As that means, it's a stunning revelation that Ron Klain, who's so politically savvy, was still all in on Joe Biden, even though he sang like a canary. And he told me all this stuff about how Joe Biden was weakening. He wasn't physically there. Mentally, he wasn't all there. He would sink into these lounge chairs. He would wander away. All the stuff we know about Joe Biden that we didn't witness for ourselves, we got from Ron Klain. And now now he's saying Ron Klain was all in on Joe Biden. I think Ron Klain knew he was in a lose-lose situation. He couldn't abandon Joe Biden because politically that would be bad. If you're somebody's chief of staff and you've been with them and you've been perpetuating this rumor or this myth or this lie, this fabrication that your guy is mentally and physically fit to be president of the United States, you can't just turn your back on him. And I think he knows that politically he would have done more damage to himself if he did that and jumped on the Kamala bandwagon. Also, he probably looked at Kamala Harris and said, "Duh, F, you know what? I ain't jumping. I don't want any part of that. Kamala Harris, no, I'd rather go down with the Joe Biden ship than go down with Kamala Harris." Well, that didn't come out the way. It's a wrong choice of words, Mark. You understand what I mean, though. You understand what I mean. And now Ron Klain is an interesting figure because he, again, is everyone thought he was going to go in and plead the Fifth Amendment. But again, he didn't show up under order of subpoena. He showed up of his own recognizance. He went in there and he said, I will answer questions and I will do it on my own. And he answered them. And apparently everybody on the committee seemed very satisfied that he was telling the truth and very satisfied that he was forthright with the committee. I have to share this with you because we don't get a lot. We don't get a lot of Nancy Pelosi clips. And I want to, and every time I get one nowadays, we used to get them all the time. We used to get, Slava, Ukraine, and all the other stuff. Her ripping up the State of the Union address, but we don't really get a lot. She was speaking. You have to just. I'm not even going to preface this. I'm just going to play it for you. Listen very carefully. Crank up your speaker. Listen very carefully and tell me what the heck's going on here.
Their obligation, but also their employees, their customers, the community they lived in. So about 30 times. Stakeholder capitalism. Now we've moved to shareholder capitalism, where the CEO of the company is making like 300 or 400 times what their workers are making. It would take some of our workers a lifetime to make what the CEO makes in 1 year. So we have important work to do about fairness and all the rest of that. How could that be okay? And even CEOs have complained about that and said that's not what capitalism is supposed to be about. 300, 400 times? And it would take, a person's whole future. But if you go back, it would take from well before the revolution for them to have to work all that time to make what the boss makes. So this is unfair, it's unjust, it's undemocratic, it's wrong, it's shameful, and it must be changed. And we are going to, that's our fight, to cancel the cuts, but with a reason, and also listening to how you see what the priorities should be for the future. I'll just again close by saying, and I mean it this time, I'm from Baltimore. When we're coming here, I felt as though I was going back home to Baltimore. Any Marylanders here? Any Californians here? So the national anthem was written in Baltimore, and I'm very proud of that. And one of my favorite lines in it is...
Okay, and that's basically... She's all over the place. She's showing once again why we need term limits to keep raging alcoholics out of Congress. Not raging alcoholics, but really old octogenarian raging alcoholics out of Congress. She is the poster child for term limits. Nancy Pelosi also, I find it very ironic that she's going on and on about CEOs' salaries and how exorbitant they are and how unfair it is that the workers don't make as much as the CEO. And yet this is a woman who's increased her net worth hundreds and hundreds of times over the last 40 years that she spent in Congress. This is a woman who, whether it was her or her husband, traded stocks with insider information to make herself one of the wealthiest people in San Francisco, not just in Congress, but in San Francisco, in California. They have an exorbitant amount of wealth flowing through their stock portfolio and their homes and the Pelosi fund, whatever it is. If you go in and you audit Nancy Pelosi, you're going to find out she is hundreds of times wealthier than she was when she got to Congress in the 80s. And how does that happen when you're only making $170,000 a year? Now she's out there and she is excoriating the CEOs, the rich, wealthy CEOs making 300 times what the factory workers are making. That is so unfair. That's not capitalism. Capitalism is getting elected to Congress, sitting there for 40 years and using the information that comes through the various committees that you sit on to trade stocks and make millions of dollars. That's capitalism. If you want to make millions of dollars, then don't become a CEO, become a congressperson, trade stocks illegally, and then the rest is history. Byron Donalds, who is currently running he's the only one running for governor, but he's not the front runner, which is this is kind of an interesting thing. There was a new poll out yesterday from UNF. We'll get to that in just a minute. But here's Byron Donalds. He was asked about Joe Biden and his condition yesterday.
You've seen Joe Biden, and obviously we just witnessed Donald Trump just doing a quick presser. Could you ever imagine Joe Biden doing a presser like that at any point over the last 4 years? The answer is no. We all know that.
Yeah, we're after 4 o'clock. That means it's bedtime for the former president during that period of time.
Yeah. Byron Donalds is, like I said, he's from Naples, Florida. He's a congressman. He's very, very conservative.
You've seen Joe Biden, and obviously we just witnessed.
We already heard that. Thank you. And he is the current front runner, or he's the current front runner as far as declared candidates go for governor. But there was a poll that came out yesterday. I didn't get a chance to talk about it. UNF, University of North Florida, which is right down the road. They ran a poll. Casey DeSantis, the wife of the governor, now leads Byron Donalds in race for Florida governor. The latest results, however, ran against data from recent polls showing Donalds with a sizable lead. A University of North Florida poll released July 24th shows First Lady Casey DeSantis leading U.S. Representative Byron Donalds 32-29 in a hypothetical matchup for the GOP nomination for governor. The survey, conducted July 14th through the 22nd with 797 active registered Republicans, showed 18% of respondents were undecided, 8% favor former U.S. Representative Matt Gaetz, 2% want Miami Mayor Francis Suarez, 1% like Agriculture Commissioner Wilton Simpson, and another 7% want someone else. Donalds is the only person on the list to have officially gotten in the governor's race, and he also received the coveted Donald Trump endorsement, Run, Byron, Run. The results, however, run against the data from recent polls showing Donalds with a sizable lead. St. Pete polls July 14th survey had Donalds leading DeSantis 35-27. A May poll commissioned by Tallahassee conservative think tank James Madison Institute had Donalds up 44-25 over DeSantis. Now, the interesting thing about this poll is that, say what you will about polls, and we need to get our buddy Mark Mitchell on the phone from Rasmussen, because they are the single most accurate polling organization there is. But she hasn't even entered the race. So when you say 44-25 in a hypothetical matchup, that's with a woman who hasn't even declared. And it's one thing once you declare your candidacy, as opposed to when you're just thinking about becoming it. If you're like, I think I'm going to become a candidate, I think I'm going to run, that's one thing. But if you say, you know what, I am running, I've filed, I declared, I'm ready to go, I am ready to be the next governor of the state of Florida, that's a whole different issue. And then you start raising money, and then you start running advertising, and then you start going out and speaking, and then you can say, I'm doing this, that, and the other. Byron Donalds is already doing that. Casey DeSantis is not. She's still Mrs. DeSantis. She's still the governor's wife. She's still the first lady of Florida. Now, eventually, we believe, everybody seems to believe that she's going to enter the race. I don't believe Matt Gaetz will. I know at one time he spoke about it, but he seems to be settling into his podcast career. He seems to be settling into OAN. It hasn't even been named special prosecutor for anything or been returned to the Justice Department as some kind of liaison. We all thought after he canceled his TPUSA performance. But I don't think Matt Gaetz is going to run. I don't even think he's even exploring the option anymore. It looks like Byron Donalds and Casey DeSantis are the top two. And if they are the top two, right now it seems like early on Byron Donalds may have a slight lead. Casey DeSantis may have a slight lead, but either way, when you have dueling polls like that, it's a lot closer, I think, than anyone thought. Casey DeSantis, being the governor's wife, may have a shot at making a run for this thing. And Byron Donalds, who is a conservative member of Congress and a MAGA faithful and Donald Trump acolyte, may see himself in a more difficult position than he thought going into it. Now, Casey DeSantis has the backing, I would imagine, of a very popular governor, Ron DeSantis. Ron DeSantis is more and more popular by the day, and he's out there doing and saying things that are making him more and more popular leading up to the gubernatorial race. He's leaving office in 2026. Whether or not he's doing all of this stuff so that he has more clout to race and support his wife, or whether he himself is gearing up for another run at the White House in 2028, or both, remains to be seen. But Ron DeSantis is out there at Alligator Alcatraz, and he is fighting back against the media once again, and he is putting himself in a power position, making sure that everybody in the world, not just the country, but the entire world knows when it comes to the big issues that matter, Florida is the United States of America, and the United States of America's policies are Florida's policies. And if the United States of America and Donald Trump are tough on immigration, Florida and Ron DeSantis are tough on immigration. And if Donald Trump's saying we need to export and we need to deport these illegal immigrants in the most massive illegal immigration deportation effort in history, well, then we're going to do it here in Florida. And that's exactly what's happening right now at Alligator Alcatraz.
That those flights out of Alligator Alcatraz by DHS have begun. The cadence is increasing. We've already had a number of flights in the last few days. We've had hundreds of illegals have been removed from here. And, the federal government has a process of how they eventually do, and they've done it different ways on some of these different flights. But the reality is this provides an ability to enhance the mission, to increase the number and frequency of deportations. And so what's been done here has really been remarkable. There's full ground-to-air communications from the airfield. There's air tracking radar capabilities on site, securing all access ports to the taxiway and runway on aircraft arrival. That happens. You got 5,000 gallons of jet fuel on site. You got runway lighting. You got everything you need to be able to do that. This airport is able to accept commercial-sized aircraft and conduct both day and nighttime operations. And so that's what it's all about, to be able to help process and remove folks that are legally in the state of Florida and in the United States of America. So we look forward to this cadence increasing. One of the things when the president came and visited that he approved was deputizing state officers, including National Guard.
Yeah. So anyway, Ron DeSantis is saying, look, we got the airport up and ready. The airstrip's here. We can take commercial-sized airliners. We can take small airliners. We can take whatever we want. We can run these flights day and night. So when these people come to, because that's the thing, Alligator Alcatraz is not the place where they're staying. Alligator Alcatraz is a holding center. They come in. Donald Trump said we can deputize these people that run the facility, the law enforcement agents, the ICE officers, the sheriff's department. We can deputize them to become immigration officials and judges and pass judgment on these illegals and see if they get to be deported or if they get to stay. And if they're deported, we can put them right on a plane anytime, day or night, and fly them out of here. And we can take them to whatever destination we decide they're going to go. And that's something that has been put in place very quickly here in the state of Florida. That is something that Ron DeSantis jumped on. And that is, I'll be honest with you, that is something that has put him back at the forefront of American politics. But there's more. He is still also one of the best when it comes to smacking the media down to size and reminding the media that nobody trusts them, nobody likes them, and that they are the mouthpiece of a party that is corrupt. And it happened again yesterday at Alligator Alcatraz when one of the reporters said, we've heard that the families of the people who are being held here are not able to talk to them, by the way, turning the criminals, once again, these are criminal illegal aliens, turning the criminals into the victims. Here's what Ron DeSantis said.
So I let Kevin, but I'm sure he's going to debunk it. I mean, seriously, you have to ask yourself on some of this stuff, just the desire to create narratives and these Democrat politicians parading down here and doing all this stuff. And I'm just thinking to myself, I've never seen one of you show up to comfort an angel mom who's lost a child because of illegal alien crime. I've never seen you raise any concern about the victims of illegal immigration. Not one time have I seen these Democrats caravan anywhere in this state, hold a press conference to be able to stand in solidarity with victims. I've never seen that. These are stunts that they're pulling because they're increasingly politically irrelevant in this state, and they're trying to latch on to whatever they can, to create phony narratives. But I will let Kevin address that.
Which is a fantastic point that needs to be made over and over again. You have these people. You have Democrats like, what's her name? LaMonica McIver, who tried to burst into the federal penitentiary in New Jersey and rescue or get the criminal illegal aliens out of these cells where they were being held. You've got Senator Van Hollen from Maryland, who flew on your dime down to El Salvador to drink margaritas with Abrego Garcia and try to bring him back here. You've got that other idiot from Orlando, Maxwell Smart. No, not Maxwell Smart. The guy, Rockwell Smart. Right, he's not that. Maxwell Frost, that's his name. I knew Smart wasn't part of it. Maxwell Frost, who flew down there again with his own money, wasn't even able to see Abrego Garcia. They're always trying to help the criminals, and instead they ignore the victims. And Ron DeSantis said, I never see caravans come through Florida trying to find Gold Star families and comfort them or make the world a safer, better place for them. It's always whenever we have criminals, the Democrats come down here in droves and try to protect the criminals. And that's something that Stephen Miller, get ready for a little Miller time. Stephen Miller pointed out yesterday on Sean Hannity how crazy and maniacal and radicalized the Democrat Party has become.
The Democrat Party is completely radicalized. They're a party of extremists. They're committed to the rights of illegal aliens over the very lives of American citizens. So, of course, we know and we understand that Democrats want to flood the country with illegals because it gives them extra congressional seats. It changes apportionment. It expands their political power under birthright citizenship. All their kids become automatic citizens. So all of these things Democrats believe will increase their political power, grow the welfare state, grow dependency, strengthen, for example, the power of the teachers union, because millions of illegal aliens are getting free education in public schools. So we understand all of these things. But I think at a deeper level, at a much deeper level, Sean, they hate America. At least they hate America as you and I know it, the America that our founders gave us, and they want to end that America and create a new communist hellhole, and they believe open borders is the way to get there.
Open borders is the way to get there for sure, and siding with criminals and letting criminals run rampant and negating the power of the people to fight back against the government. All of those things are how you create the communist utopia that the Democrats want. And so when they show up in Florida and they yell and scream and say, you're treating these criminal, thug, illegal aliens badly, Ron DeSantis says, why don't you ever stick up for American citizens? And the reason is because they hate us. The Democrats don't stick up for American citizens because they hate us. That is why they lie about us. That is why they put us in positions where we are in danger. That's why they take our money. They don't like us. They want a different situation. You know who they like? They like the Palestinian people. That's why Rashida Tlaib is not standing in front of Congress saying, angel moms and dads, this is for you. She's saying, Palestinian people, this is for you.
Palestinian people, this is all for you.
Also, I'm not a Palestinian person, but I imagine she's talking about some of the people in Gaza. I imagine she's talking about some of the people who, have been bombed by Israel. I know exactly who she's talking about. I wonder if they're listening to this going, WTF, how does that help me? How does that help me, fake Palestinian woman? How does it help me? Here I am in Gaza. My home has been bombed by Israel. I've been living in rubble. In the rubble streets of Gaza for months. Half my family is killed. The other half is maimed. We're hungry. We have no food. There's no water. I'm pooping in the street. When there is food, we have to fight for it. We're all starving and no humanitarian aid is coming in. Plus, we think that Israel's still going to bomb us. And oh yeah, Donald Trump's going to turn this into the Riviera of the Mediterranean. So how does you banging on an old empty kitchen container outside of the Capitol building, how does that help me? This is all for you, Palestinian people. Clang, 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 clang. The Palestinian people are probably looking at her going, this is why in Palestine, we don't send women to Congress. This is why in Palestine, women aren't given important positions in leadership. In Sharia law, women are not allowed to serve. They're not even allowed to stand. I mean, if Rashida Tlaib were doing this somewhere in Palestine, I shudder to think what would happen to her.
Palestinian people, this is all for you.
Yeah. They've got to be watching this. Well, they're probably not watching it because I don't think they have TV or cable or power. But if they're watching it, they're like, this woman is crazy, does not speak for us. And would somebody please send a man there to do the job that we want them to do? Because again, in the Muslim culture, the women do not get the power. They don't have the power to make the laws. And they're probably shocked and appalled that, again, it's really, she's just proving herself to be as worthless as we all knew that she was. I lost my train of thought. What was I talking about? You know what? Let's talk about the Fed, because the Fed you know what? Before we get to the Fed, I was on Newsmax earlier today. So this Hulk Hogan thing, last night, I think I told you, I posted on my X account video I had of Hulk Hogan, video that I took when I was at the Republican National Convention, which was the last time I saw Hulk Hogan ever in public, and I was just feet away from him. Yeah, and he's ripping off his shirt. Yeah, and he rips off his shirt and he goes, you know, Donald Trump, rah, and come on, Trump-a-maniacs, he called him. And it was amazing. It was an incredible, very patriotic, very cool, very energized thing for him to do. And everybody loved Hulk Hogan and everyone loves Donald Trump and everyone loved that minute. It was fantastic. And last night, or yesterday rather, during the day right before the show, we got word that Terry Bollea, aka Hulk Hogan, had passed away at 71 from a heart attack. And just so you want, I mean, in case you knew, I'm pretty sure everybody knew how iconic Hulk Hogan was. I'm pretty sure everyone knows Hulk Hogan, has heard the name Hulk Hogan, knows what Hulk Hogan looks like. If you showed anybody in the world a photo of Hulk Hogan, I'm pretty sure they would go, Hulk Hogan. That's how, it's like Donald Trump, probably the Pope, and Hulk Hogan. Although maybe not the Pope, because he's new. He's new. If you showed people the Pope, but like not in the papal garb, you know, if he was just wearing like a Villanova hat or something, maybe not. But if it were like Donald Trump, typically Donald Trump, the Pope, and Hulk Hogan, probably the three most famous people in the world. I might say Taylor Swift, but you know, I don't want to give her any more clout than she deserves. So that's it. And Hulk Hogan passes away at 71. Well, I'm talking everybody, they are all out there and they are all doing their best and sharing their photos and talking about the moments they had. I did the same thing. I totally was like, here's the last time I saw Hulk Hogan. I can't believe I'm going to be gone. I was telling stories about watching wrestling with my dad and then trying to turnbuckle fly him. And he would like, you know, laugh until I hurt him real bad. And then he'd slam me up against the, you know, the wall, all that kind of fun stuff that you do when you're a kid. We talked about the dolls. Well, Tom Homan, get this, Tom Homan, okay, the border czar, one of the toughest men in the world. Tom Homan has a Hulk Hogan tribute. This could be one of the best Hulk Hogan tributes of all the Hulk Hogan tributes I watched yesterday, and I watched a lot of them. I spent a good hour scrolling on X, just looking at photos of Hulk Hogan, and a good hour. Ron DeSantis was posting clips from WrestleMania 3 when he took out the Iron Sheik. But if you haven't seen this clip yet, listen to Tom Homan, the border czar, talk about Hulk Hogan and how much he meant to him.
On absentia. If GPS helped to get him to court, I'm all behind it.
Tom, a longtime friend of the president passed away today. Hulk Hogan, dead at 71. Do you have a favorite Hulk Hogan memory?
I loved Hulk Hogan. I had an Italian Mastiff dog, 200 pounds. His name, Hulk Homan.
Sir, has the president spoken to you?
I mean, come on. Tom Homan. I loved Hulk Hogan. I had an Italian Mastiff, a 200-pound dog, which I totally believe. I believe Tom Homan had a 200-pound Mastiff, and I believe that he called him Hulk Homan, which is just, I mean, that's just, come on. Which is it's the perfect dog. It's the perfect dog for someone like Tom Homan, a 200-pound Italian Mastiff, which is also fitting because Hulk Hogan was Italian. And he said this dog was 200 pounds, a big Italian Mastiff. I called him Hulk Homan. And that is the most Tom Homan thing ever in the history of the world. Beautiful dog too, by the way. Those Italian Mastiffs are really, really, really beautiful dogs. Really beautiful dogs. But Hulk Homan, I accidentally called Hulk Hogan on Newsmax. Anyway, so yesterday I posted on my X feed, and I think I told you the BBC wrote me. And they said, would you come on our show? We're looking for somebody to talk to about Hulk Hogan. I said, what time? And they said it would be 10:30 p.m. your time. And I go, all right, that's fine. I'll stay up. No problem. So they sent me a Zoom link and I go on there and I go on my comment right in here in the studio. I turn on all the lights. And at 10:30, I go into the Zoom link and I'm sitting there and there's nobody there. And then at 10:35, there's nobody there. So I write to them and I go, hey, I'm here. And they wrote back and they said, hi, we'll be right there. And I go, okay. So I sit there and I wait. 10:40, 10:45. It's been 15 minutes. And I'm like, I'm not waiting anymore. So I left. And I woke up this morning and there was frantic emails at 11:10, a good 40 minutes after the allotted time. And they're like, we're in the room. Where are you? Do you see us? We're in the chat. I'm sending you a new chat link. And I was like, folks, I was there at 10:30. You know, I'm sorry, but I'm not waiting 35 minutes to talk on British radio about Hulk Hogan. I apologize, but it was anyway. So if you were waiting up to hear me on the BBC this morning, that's why you didn't hear me on the BBC. But we did have some fun with it on Newsmax, and like I said, a lot of people with some great tributes to Hulk Hogan and Hulk Homan, which is just, that's amazing. I like Tom Homan more and more every single day. All right, let's talk about the Fed. let's talk about the Fed real quick. By the way, if you have not sent a super chat yet or a Rumble rant, now would be an opportune time, because in about, let's say about 20 minutes or so, I'm going to read through them. So if you have a message, if there's something you want to get off your chest, if there's something you want to promote, if you're having a party and you want to invite everybody, if you're selling t-shirts on the internet, whatever it is, if you want me to try to say something stupid, whatever it is, send a super chat now. If you send a super chat of $5 or more, we will shout you out. $5 or more, you get a shout out from me. I'll read whatever your message is. And that goes for our Rumble rants as well. Any Rumble rant or super chat of $5 or more today, we will read out your message, whatever it is. No profanity. Like if you put in profanity, I'll clean it up, because it is a family show. But that's what we do on Friday. That's our new thing. We're gonna come up with some new name for it too. We're gonna call it like we'll have to come up with something creative. It'll have to be like, shout out Friday. That's not really creative. That's like the opposite of creative, but like I said, that we're just starting. We'll put it into ChatGPT. In fact, you know what? Let's do that real quick. While we're waiting, let me pull up ChatGPT here real quick, and we'll see what we can, what ChatGPT can come up with. All right, ready? Here we go. Hi. I am trying to come up with a creative name for a segment on my live streaming show. The segment includes me reading out YouTube super chat messages every Friday. Give me 10 potentially cool and fun names for the segment. I misspelled live stream. All right. Hi. Oh, it's all in caps. That's okay. Hi, I'm trying to. Okay, good. We'll just enter it. Let's see what it comes up with. Ready? Here we go. Absolutely, Mark K. Here are 10 creative and fun names for your segment. Super Chat Showdown. It's a good one. Friday Funds and Fun. Friday Funds is kind of fun. The Chatty Cash Hour. That sounds like a gossip show for women. Hey, I'm Chatty Cash. Welcome to the Chatty Cash Hour. Pay to Slay Fridays. Ouch. That is mark my words. I get it. Look, it even says a clever double meaning. You're reading their chats and giving your take. Mark my words. Friday Night Superstars. It's not going to be a night. The K-Spot. Cash for the K-Spot just sounds horrible. I don't know if I like that at all. Oh, like jackpot. K-Spot. Like jackpot. Cash for chat, the tipped off segment, Friday shout out fiesta. Meh. Try again. Let's see if maybe it'll come up with some more. Okay, here we go. Cha-ching chats. Oh, we could call it cha-chats. That's kind of funny. Cha-chat. Okay, I'll give it that one. Every ding is $1. Every dollar gets a spotlight. I'm cool with cha-ching chats or cha-ching chats. Friday Flex, the Super Roll Call, Make It Rain Friday, the Patriot, P-A-Y, that's cute, Parade, Cash and Comments, Friday Funded Frenzy, interesting, the Tip Line, Super Chatterday Night Live, and the Gold Drop. All right, vote for your favorites. Mine is right now Cha-Ching Chat. I'm kind of digging that. Oh, vote for your favorites with a super chat, and that way I'll definitely pay attention to your votes. And don't forget, every single chat that you send allows us to continue this amazing broadcast. Every time you help the show, we get to continue the show. Every time you donate to the cause, we get to keep the cause going. If you're like, wow, this is a great show, I love it, and it's free, know that it is free because some people actually pay for it. So if you want to be one of those people every now and then and throw us a bone, that would be awesome. And maybe on Friday we'll come up with maybe we'll get some music going. I'll have to find some copyright free music, and we'll roll with some cha-ching chats. I don't know. Whatever you think, let me know. Let me know what you want. All right, speaking of money, let's get to the Fed, shall we? And this massive expenditure that the Fed has when it comes to the remodel, and how embarrassing and awkward it was when Donald Trump met Jerome Powell at the Fed yesterday. This was probably one of the most awkward and amazing scenes when Jerome Powell and Donald Trump got into a live argument over how much these renovations were costing.
As a real estate developer, what would you do with a project manager who would be over
Pardon me,
budget?
that's not the right one. I'll get to that one in a minute. Here it is. Here it is. Listen carefully.
Well,
anyway, so the Federal Reserve Chair is saying we have even more money. We've already spent, he said, and this is the dumbest argument ever. Donald Trump says you've spent $3.1 billion. And Jerome Powell goes, no, we haven't. And they're bickering back and forth. It reminded me of an episode of The Office, like Michael and Dwight arguing over something. But it reminded me of an episode of The Office. They're bickering live on camera. No. And Donald Trump says, yeah, look, I got it right here. And he hands them the piece of paper. He goes, you included this other building. And Donald Trump goes, that's part of the overall renovation. And Jerome Powell goes, that's a whole other building. That's old. That's an old building. And Donald Trump says, it's part of this. No, it's not. It's all part of it. And they're bickering about it in front of the camera, which is hilarious to me, that the president and the Fed chair. And then he goes, do you expect any other cost overruns? Do you expect any more expenditures? And Jerome Powell has the audacity to go, I mean, I'm not expecting any, but if we get some, we have even more money to spend, which means now that he's publicized it, they're going to go over budget. They're going to spend more money. They're going to spend another God knows how much. And this could end up being not 3.1 billion, but 3.5 billion or even more. And they're not going to be done until 2027. And by all looks of it, Jerome Powell is not going to be there when this building is done. Jerome Powell is going to be out. And Donald Trump had a playful way of reminding him of that yesterday in answer to wants to do that.
Well, I'm here just really with the chairman. He's showing us around, showing us the work. And so I don't want to get that. I don't want to be personal. I just would like to see it get finished. And in many ways, it's too bad it started. But it did start. And it's been under construction for a long time. It's going to be a real long time because it looks like it's got a long way to go. Yes, sir. So. Yeah,
it looks like it. Look, it's going to be under. And this is Donald Trump just subtly, not really, digging at him. He's like, look, I wish it had never started, but it started and it's over budget. And I wish it weren't over budget, but and I wish it were going to be done, but it looks like it's nowhere near done. And Jerome Powell's like, we're almost done. He's like, this doesn't look like it's anywhere near done. And Donald Trump knows. Donald Trump's been around construction sites. He knows he can pinpoint from where you are to when you're going to be done. And he's looking at this going, this is not done. This isn't even close to done. This renovation is nowhere near over. And he doesn't think it's going to be under budget either. He was asked if this visit was meant to pressure Jerome Powell, and he said no.
No, there's no pressure. No. We want to have, his term comes up soon. I think he's going to do the right thing. Everybody knows what the right thing is. Even people that believed in, the higher rates, they're all on board. They all want to see the interest rates come down. It's very important.
Yeah. And so Donald Trump's out there saying, look, we're not here to pressure. We're just here to remind him that we want the interest rates to come down. You're out here building this illustrious building. You're spending billions of dollars of taxpayer money on it. And the taxpayers can't buy their own homes because the interest rates are too high. It's very important that you bring them down. It's very important that you make sure that everybody in the United States of America can afford, not even a luxury Fed Mahal is what they're calling it, but just a nice house where they can raise their families. And that is something that is more and more difficult for the average American. And he said, look, I'm really thrilled about how the meeting went. He said we had a good meeting. No one was pressured. And he was, of course, excited to be back on a construction site.
It feels very good, actually, to be back on a construction site. If you remember, not so long ago, we rebuilt the old post office into the Trump Hotel, and we sold it to Waldorf Astoria, and it was a great success, and we had great luck with the building. We did a good job. We built it quickly and relatively inexpensively for about $200 million, and that was a big hotel, big project. But we looked around, and Tim Scott's here someplace. Tim, come on up. You saw what we saw. And the big thing is to get it done. They have to get it done. They have to get it finished. And very importantly, we have to get interest rates lowered in our country. Our country is the hottest in the world right now, but the one section, people are pretty much unable to buy housing because the interest rates are too high. We have no inflation. We have a lot of cash coming in. The tariffs have been unbelievable now. People that didn't even believe in tariffs are saying, what a great move that was. We have hundreds of billions of dollars coming in. Japan, just on one deal, is paying us $550 billion. And they opened up their economy. It's incredible, the deal. And they're happy, we're happy, everybody's happy. but we should have the lowest interest rate of any country, and we don't. We should have. Every point is worth $365 billion. So we want to get the rates down, but we also want to get the Fed building finished. So I met with the contractors, we toured it with the chairman, and we had a very good tour, and we'll talk to you about it sometime, but Tim and I, we sort of understand what happened.
Yeah, as that's Donald Trump saying, look, we're in a good position, but we need to be in an even better position when it comes to the Fed rate, when it comes to where Americans are and where they want to be. By the way, this is kind of, speaking of the tariff revenue and the economy, the Democrats tried to ding Donald Trump yesterday, and they ended up dinging their own guy. They published, the Democrats came out with this chart, and it says U.S. grocery prices reached record highs in 2025. And the chart shows how meat, produce, dairy, grocery, alcohol, and cheese all were at record highs in 2025. But the chart also shows that they were at record lows when Donald Trump left office in 2021, and that they skyrocketed as soon as Joe Biden took office. And looky there, they were at their highest point all the way through the Biden years. So Donald Trump's office, they reposted this and they said, hey, look, these are all the Biden years. And the Democrats realized what they did was they implicated Joe Biden as being the man who created inflation, the worst inflation we've ever seen in history. And so they took the chart down. Now we've all been sharing it over and over and over again because it's just too funny. All right, listen, listen to this. We're getting a bunch of people with ideas, and they're sending in Rumble rants, and they're sending in super chats. And why don't we start with our super chatters here real quick? Jennifer Lawson, she dropped a $5 super chat. Jennifer, we appreciate that. It's very generous. And she wrote, how about Catriot rant for the day? It's a good one. Catriot rant for the day. All right, so she's ranting, and she's super chatting, and she's dropping her idea for the segment. Jennifer, I love that. And I appreciate the help, and we definitely appreciate you donating to the cause. $5 is very generous. Thank you so much for that. Somebody write this down. Catriot rant for the day. That's our first one. Cloud Life dropped a $10 super chat. That's fantastic. Cloud Life, thank you so much. He dropped a $10 super chat and said, thank you, Mark. You are a great patriot. Oh, Cloud Life, I appreciate it. I agree with that statement. And you too are also a great patriot. And I know that because you're listening and you're supporting other great patriots. And that is something that we all need. Patriots need to support each other. That's why we call each other Catriots. And that's why we come here and we do exactly that every single day. So I appreciate it. I'm getting some Rumble rants in here. Oh, we're getting a bunch of Rumble rants. Rumble is on fire today. We have one from Harley Quinzel. Harley Quinzel, let me make this a little bit brighter. Harley Quinzel is dropping a $5 Rumble rant. And Harley Quinzel writes, I have one message for you, Mark. Fight, fight, fight. That is a great message. Thank you, Harley Quinzel, for that Rumble rant. We appreciate it. We got another one from My News. Why is the light in my face there? My News 61, a $10 Rumble rant. That's amazing. Thank you for a great show. You are so welcome. And thank you so much for a really nice, generous Rumble rant. Hang on, let me go this way. And then here, oh, look at this one. U.S. Abby Girl, $20. Too bad you and Dan Nunn of the Nunn Report were so busy in Tampa you never got the chance to interview. That would have been awesome. Your name came up on his show this past Tuesday. Uh-oh. I always want, and that's $20. That is very generous, U.S. Abby Girl. We really do appreciate that, and that's going to help keep us afloat for sure. I always get nervous when people say your name came up on their show the other day, and I'm like, oh, really? What did they say? Because sometimes, that's not always a good thing. If you say, oh, they were raving about you, or they had the nicest things to say about you, or so-and-so was such a big fan, blah, 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 blah. If that's the case, then that's great. But whenever someone always says they were talking about you, I go, uh-oh, what were they saying about me this time? Those people but anyway, no, but I met him. He was a great guy. He came up to me and he was like, look, I love your show. I'm a big fan. Thank you so much. He called me an inspiration. I told him, I said, let's definitely do something. Unfortunately, yes. Tampa was very busy. It was a very busy place to be. It was a very busy situation. We were not able to get around to all the interviews because we were interviewing so many people. And I would have loved to have been on his show. Maybe next time around we will. What I was thinking of doing is, because there's another big TPUSA event in Tampa. I'm sorry, not in Tampa. In, what's that place in Arizona? Phoenix. That's the place. There's another big event in Phoenix. And I was thinking of going in Phoenix, but instead of broadcasting, just kind of going and wandering around and interviewing with people. Like not having the booth. Because again, Phoenix is farther away from Tampa, or from me, than Tampa. Tampa, I can get in my car and I can drive there and I can load up the truck with whatever I need, and I can bring my big banner and my equipment and my lights, and I can bring my microphones, and I can set up the whole thing, and we could have a real show. We could do the live stream like we typically do it. But I was thinking, Phoenix, I got to ship stuff out. It's going to be a freight charge. It's going to be crazy. Then I got to hire some people locally to set it up or bring people with me. That's going to be so expensive, blah, 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 blah. So I was thinking about, I was like, maybe I just fly out there solo, or like bring my wife or something. And I just want, and instead of setting up a booth to be interviewed, because there's going to be a massive media row, I just book myself on all the shows while I'm there and wander. I don't know. I got to figure it out. I got to figure out the best course of action for me. Moving forward. It is always really fun to broadcast from there. I don't know. I will, like I said, we'll figure, we're going to be at every event we can be, because the events are the lifeblood of the Republican Party. Events are always a great place to be. It's where you really meet people. It's where you really get together with people. It's where you really kind of socialize with people. And also, this is really cool, you also get to, you get that energy. You get energized by people. So that's really cool too. We got one more. My VA lady dropped a $2 super chat. Thank you, my VA lady. Super Rant Blast Fridays. All right, write that down. Write that down, somebody. Super Rant Blast Fridays. We appreciate it, my VA lady. We appreciate your help on as one of our mod squad members, and with all the content and the super chats that you donate to us. That's awesome. All right, listen, we'll keep that going next Friday too. We're gonna make it a regular thing. Also, Tuesdays, reviews days, we have to get back to, but again, we get a lot of downloads. We get a lot of people listening to the podcast. We're not as many reviews as we would typically need to continue to do this segment every single Tuesday. So if you're listening to the podcast, make sure you drop a review. If you're listening right now on iTunes or on Spotify or wherever you happen to be listening, go in there and drop that review so that we can read it on Tuesday, because that definitely is something we want to get back to. We want to shout you guys out too for supporting the show. Also, we are going to have a Patriot Club meeting today as a makeup for yesterday in a few minutes. Oh, Wendy Bell fell through. I went in there and she's been having some real issues with her studio connection. It's the second time now I was scheduled to be on the Wendy Bell show and her connection dropped. Her internet went dead. They couldn't get her on. So we're all sitting there. There's like three of us panelists talking to each other, and there was no Wendy. So eventually they were like, look, we got to pull the plug. We're so sorry. Hopefully she can get that all fixed. So don't look for me this weekend on the Wendy Bell show, because I don't even know if there is going to be one, a new one. But anyway, thank you so much to everybody who supported us today. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to subscribe to the show. Don't forget over the weekend to visit markkforcongress.com. There's a link in the bio of this description, by the way. markkforcongress.com is where you can go and you can make your donations. We are looking for anybody and everybody to donate to our cause, because we are up against it. We are going up against a rhino deep state, operative who's been entrenched in politics, has all the big donors, has all the big donations. He's out there trying to solidify his place for another 2 years. And what we're trying to do is beat him back. And it's a David and Goliath. It's really a David and Goliath situation. I'm David and he's Goliath, which if you saw him, you wouldn't think this guy's a Goliath, but it turns out that politically he is. And so we're going to need all the help we can get. We do have a big rally scheduled for August 18th that you can come join us for. It's in Jacksonville Beach. It's going to be at Sneakers at Jacksonville Beach. You can find it on Facebook, and you can come out. The first 100 people are going to get yard signs, which is really amazing. Otherwise, like I said, just keep listening. Listen every single day, because we need your help. We need you to listen every day. We need you to be with us every single day. We need you to stay informed every single day. We need you to stay inspired every single day, because these attacks are going to come every single day. And we need brave, skilled, prepared Patriots from all over to be ready to fend them off. We need brave, prepared, skilled Patriots from all over to fight, so that we can continue to save the Republic. Ow, I just hit my brim of my hat. After party, 3 minutes.